Destruction doesn't always arrive with fire. It doesn't require blood, raised voices, public scandals, or revenge plots. The most devastating kind of destruction is quiet, so subtle no one notices it happening. Not because it's hidden, but because it's deliberate. Machiavelli understood this better than anyone of his time. To truly destroy an enemy, you don't confront them. You let them confront themselves. You don't swing first. You give them room to swing and miss. You don't attack their position. You elevate it just enough so the fall becomes spectacular. The moment you react, you've entered their game, and reaction is weakness. But stillness? Stillness is power. While they thrash, provoke, and perform, you do nothing. You don't starve them of attention, you starve them of oxygen. And without oxygen, their fire dies. Here's how it works. Someone insults you, disrespects you, undermines you publicly. Most people retaliate: words, emotion, defensiveness. Machiavelli would only smile, because true control begins where reaction ends. Your goal is not to fight. It's to hold such calm, such poise, that every move they make becomes a mirror reflecting their desperation. This is your first weapon: stillness. Stillness isn't weakness. It's dominance. It confuses enemies because they expect noise. They want you emotional so they can say, "Look how unstable they are." But when you give them nothing, they start to look unstable themselves. The more they talk, the more desperate they sound. The more they explain, the guiltier they appear. Because in trying to convince others of their power, they reveal how little they have. Machiavelli didn't win with arguments. He let enemies argue with themselves publicly, repeatedly, until their credibility collapsed. He remained unshaken while they crumbled under their own weight. Now here's how you apply it. When insulted in a crowd, don't flinch. Don't respond. Don't even blink. Let silence stretch too long. Let the discomfort grow. Then calmly change the subject or engage someone else. You've reframed the entire room. They wanted a battle. You gave them a void. And in that void, their importance dies. The crowd may not understand what happened, but they feel it. Something shifted. Because here's the secret. Most enemies don't want to defeat you. They want to control the narrative about you. They want you humiliated, defensive, emotional. But when you give them nothing, their attacks echo back on themselves. Let them talk. Let them rant. Meanwhile, you withdraw access, energy, attention. You don't announce it. You simply subtract. Soon, they're spinning with no one left to spin with. They'll panic. They'll get louder. And the louder they get, the smaller they appear. Machiavelli understood. Attention is leverage. When someone wants it more than you do, you control them. So you let them chase your shadow until they... This is how you destroy without attack. You don't defend your name. You live in a way that makes their accusations absurd. If they call you arrogant, be calm and generous. If they call you incompetent, deliver results with quiet precision. You're not defending. You're exposing the gap between their words and your reality. And people notice. They stop listening to your enemy not because you silence them, but because you never even acknowledge them. That's where real destruction happens, not in humiliation, but in irrelevance. Now let's go deeper. Some enemies aren't loud. They're calculated. They won't attack directly. They'll whisper behind your back. Frame your success as luck, your actions as selfish. Most people try to fight these rumors, explain themselves, correct the narrative. But every explanation validates the rumor's existence. Machiavelli wouldn't. He'd become more visible, not less. He'd perform so well in public that private whispers couldn't stick. You do the same. Speak clearly in meetings. Deliver results. Show integrity. Never mention their name. Let observers compare your actions to the story being told. When reality and rumor clash, the storyteller becomes the liar. They collapse not because you expose them, but because they expose themselves. This is the second weapon, contrast. You don't fight their lies. You embody the truth so vividly their lies dissolve in its presence. Now the final enemy, the one who underestimates you. They don't attack. They dismiss. They think you're beneath them. These are the easiest to destroy, not with confrontation, but with success. You don't compete for their throne. You build a better one. And when attention shifts to you, when their influence fades, their ego implodes. You didn't take anything from them. You just became someone they can't ignore or reach. This is the third weapon, transcendence. You don't just outmaneuver enemies. You make their attempts irrelevant. Their attacks become comedy. Their existence becomes a footnote in your story. Because sometimes, the most devastating thing you can do to an enemy is simply continue building, growing, succeeding until they realize their war against you is the only thing keeping them relevant. This is Machiavellian destruction. It isn't loud. It isn't bloody. It isn't even visible. It's the quiet suffocation of an enemy in the vacuum of your indifference. You don't close doors on them. You stop opening them. You don't send a message. You become the message. They thought the game was status. You made it legacy. They thought it was image. You made it impact. They thought it was noise. You proved true power is silence. In the end, they aren't remembered as your rival. They're remembered as a lesson of what happens when someone tries to destroy a person who doesn't even acknowledge their existence. This isn't just strategy. It's philosophy. Because destruction done right doesn't look like victory. It looks like transcendence.